Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. My name's Shane and welcome to Klesh Guitars. So as you might know from watching my channel, I like to do a lot of treasure hunting, world travel, and gold paydirt reviews. So today I have a really interesting product that was sent to me by the inventor John. It's a product called the Goldrop by Sluice Goose Industries, and it is a paydirt separating processor, which is something that is basically like a cross between a sluice box and some kind of crazy invention that I'm about to show you guys. It's pretty interesting. You can go to their website here and there are a bunch of videos showing how to run the thing. Most of the videos are about 20-25 minutes, some of them are longer. So the idea of this video is to kind of do a really thorough but short video on how this thing works. So let's go down to the panning station. That's where I have it set up. I have some of my own gold pay dirt. We'll run it through and we'll see how it works. Alright, here's a quick overview of the machine itself. It's basically just a tube with a collection jar at the bottom and a funnel at the top. And you guessed it, this is where you put your pay dirt, right into the top. All these hoses are just for water. There's two buckets that you might notice here. This one is for tailings and this one is for your pump. Your pump is connected to a 12-volt battery, and you have to have a trickle charger attached to your battery. That way your battery does not die. On the front there's a gallon per minute gauge, and I'll show you how that works. And again, there's just a bunch of valves and a trap here. At the bottom, this is where the gold gets collected. So the best way to demonstrate it is, of course, to run some pay dirt through it. So I was trying to decide what pay dirt to use to run through this, so I decided to use one of each of my products on the website. I've got everything from the easiest stuff to intermediate to tough to the toughest. We'll start with the gold beginner and work our way to the most difficult, but first we have to actually classify everything to 1/8 inch. Anything over 1/8 inch won't work through the machine. Okay, we have all 4 of our pay dirts classified to plus and minus 1/8 inch, which is required for the Goldrop. As you can see underneath, this is all the minus 1/8 inch, and all this stuff is the plus 1/8 inch. Now, if there is any gold in this plus 1/8 inch material, I'll just pick it out with tweezers. It's pretty easy to pick out. It's obviously going to be nice nuggets and everything. We're only interested in the minus 1/8 inch to run through the machine. So let's start off with the beginner. Alright, let's fire it up. Just connect the alligator clips to the battery. Alright, you can see the tailings pipe spitting water out. First thing you want to do is make sure all the valves, all 3 valves, are off. Next, you want to adjust this bottom valve so your gallons per minute reads about 0.5. Alright, next step, you're going to add your pay dirt. The scoop has a hole in it and it's connected to a water line. So you can add water to wet your pay dirt before you add it to prevent any gold from floating away. This nozzle here controls the water flow inside the funnel. Now all the pay dirt is inside. You can see the pay dirt inside is kind of floating around, but this is where we do our adjustments. We'll add some water flow, get it stratifying. That looks pretty good. You can see the material floating around. All the light stuff is coming out into the tailings pile. All of the light material is going up into the tailings bucket. All the heavy stuff stays down here. When we adjust this bottom valve, that's going to allow the dirt to come down, the heavy stuff to come down. So if I shut it off a bit, you'll see it start to come down right there. So if we can get it just levitating there, all the gold is actually dropping onto the top of this gate right here. And then when we open the gate, the gold will fall into here. Now if we open the trap, Try to do this one-handed. All the gold falls right into the trap. Close the trap, unscrew it, put it in our pan, and look at that. And I can already tell you, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's about 9 or 10 pieces of gold in there. That is all of the gold in that beginner bag. I know we got all the gold. That's awesome. Okay, so we still have a bunch of tailings in here. All we need to do, all of our tailings go into the bucket, and we can restart. I'm really surprised how fast that actually worked. So in order to start up again, we have to fill the jar with water and just screw it back in. Once you have this screwed in, just open this, let the air out, shut off your valves again, and we're ready to go. Yeah, I can't believe how fast that thing works. That gold just dropped right out of it. And I could have done it faster, but I'm brand new to this machine. Also, I'm going to add a drop of jet dry to my water. Just a little bit to break that surface tension, because we're about to get into some really small flour gold with the Gold Strike bag. Alright, Gold Strike, here we go. Now it's important to wet the material down. That's why this water scoop exists. I suppose you could just wet it down any way you want. You know what, I'm just gonna wet this one down with the water hose. It does come with a water hose as well. We'll just wet this down and we'll feed it slowly and see how that works. Oh wow, look at all that gold in there. The gold's just coming straight out. I don't know if you guys are seeing that. It's just full of gold. And I didn't even start stratifying yet. Let me turn this on, get this material moving around a bit. There we go. Wow, let me open this. I want to make this a little bit stronger. Oh, it's pushing the gold up now. Look at that. It's very easily adjustable. Wow, look at all the gold right here. I don't know if you can see it if I'm getting it on camera, but it's just full of gold right in here. This machine is awesome. But you can see it separating the gold from the material very quickly. I do see some gold actually sticking to the inside. There's a lot of flour gold. That's actually stuck to the inside. I think I'll let it run for just a minute. Maybe that'll dislodge itself. I could see gold just constantly coming down. Oh, I also forgot to close the trap. And there's gold already at the bottom. Let me turn this down just a bit. Here comes the gold, look at that. I just turned it down a little bit and the gold's instantly dropping out. That's a very interesting invention. And it's working so well. I wonder why. That's an issue for me. When I'm doing pay dirts, I need to get 100% recovery, and that little bit right there, let me get a better shot. That little bit right there is just stuck there. It's not moving, it's not getting dislodged. I'm just messing with the controls, trying to dislodge that thing, and it doesn't seem like it's dislodging. I do admit I'm new to this machine. I'm not an expert by any means. I just set it up yesterday, and I'm just really excited to mess around and play with this machine a lot. But you can see the gold just dropping out of the material. In the jar is the gold and the heavies. I was messing around with the controls a lot trying to dislodge that gold. And we ended up with basically another bag of pay dirt. So I'm gonna run this again. All right, I have another issue here. In the instructions, it wants this to be at 0.5 when you start out. However, there's a little rock stuck in there. It's not moving. Alright, I got it dislodged finally. I just had to shut it off and turn it back on, and it put a surge of water through there and it just kind of cleaned it out. So that's not a big deal. Also, there's sediment in my water bucket where my bilge pump is, so that's where it came from. It sucked it up through the bilge pump. Alright, I'm going to run this pay dirt through again. See what happens. Oh yeah. I mean, that gold drops out instantly. You can see it right there. That is so cool. And I didn't even set it yet. Another issue, this thing gets jammed. There we go. There was just something stuck in there. This is what was in the jar from that one bag of Gold Strike pay dirt. I mean, I can see there's plenty of gold in there, but there's also a lot of dirt and everything. And I also still have to go through the tailings. I don't know what was lost in the tailings and everything that was in the pipe. Okay, I made a few improvements. Inside here, I don't know if you can see it, I have a smaller bucket inside here where the tailings will go into that to prevent the siphon from grabbing any sediment and putting it into the clean bucket, and that'll prevent the pump from grabbing any sediment and getting it stuck in here. Also, there's a whole bunch of suds. Hopefully that will help dislodge this little bit of gold that I have stuck in here. When you're doing tenths and hundredths of a gram, that little bit right there that's stuck in here will matter. Turn our water flow on inside here. We'll get our Gold Strike again. We'll run it through one more time. Now let's stratify. It looks like it's stratifying pretty well. We're set at 0.5 right there. See the gold coming down? That's crazy how that works. That's awesome. I mean, it was just, you know, just like any machinery, you know, working the bugs out of it. See if there's any gold. Let's open the trap. Just a bunch of gold fell out of there. And there's some sediment in there too, but a lot of gold. But once you have everything set up, it's basically just tweaking this knob that's right here at the bottom. Just give it a little bit more water or a little bit less. If you give it too much pressure, no gold will come down. And if you give it not enough pressure, the rocks will start coming down. So it's got to be like right in that sweet spot. And it's very easy to figure out using this lever. I mean, it looks like a lot of gold. I don't think we lost a lot. But the real test is going to be, is there how much gold is left in the tailings and inside the bucket? So that's the next test. Okay, so here we have everything that was recovered from the first run, the initial run. You can see that it got most of the gold, probably 95% of all the gold. That is actually, I think this is a bonus bag from one of my Gold Strike bags. That's about 3 grams right there. So then after panning the tailings, everything that was in the pipe and everything that blew out, this is actually what we recovered. It missed a nice big flake and a few other smaller flakes. So I was kind of surprised by that. So after I found that, I contacted John, the inventor, and he told me to try classifying to 100 mesh and then run it again. So I did that, and this is what I recovered. And then the tailings from the 100 mesh, I still lost some gold. Now as far as percentage wise goes, this is maybe, you know, everything that was lost is probably like, I would say maybe 1/10 of a gram. So I would say it's like a 96-97% gold recovery rate. Now the pay dirt that I ran through it is my Gold Strike pay dirt. It's the intermediate. It has big gold. It has really small flour gold. So I think this was a pretty good representation of how the machine runs. But I still do want to run the bag of Impossible just to see how it does. And then we'll get a recovery rate on that. Okay, I'm going to start off by wet classifying this Impossible dirt to -100. We're going to leave all the magnetic stuff in there. You can see there's a lot of black sands, a lot of pyrite, all kind of stuff in there. So we'll just wet classify this to 100 mesh before we run it. Okay, here we have our plus and minus 100 mesh. We'll go ahead and run it through the Goldrop. We'll start with the small stuff first. All right, let's hook up the battery. It's running. We're going to wait for this thing to fill up with water. Make sure everything's off. Everything is off. All valves are off right now. And then we set this to 0.5 right there. Okay, let's run it through. A lot of black sands moving around. Back off this just a little bit. I don't see any gold coming down yet. Here comes the gold now. See the gold coming through? That's pretty amazing how it just separates the gold from the black sand and everything else. That's doing a really good job. We'll back off on this just a little bit, bring the black sands down a little more. so the gold drops faster. It's very light flour gold. There we go. Even more. I'm gonna back off even more. It's okay to have some mineral come down along with the gold, but this impossible dirt is very tricky, even by hand. Okay, I've had it running for about 5 minutes now. I brought the pressure down so the dirt is dropping right above the nozzle here. You can see right about here is where it stops. And I can see gold going past it down to the top of the jar. So let's go ahead and open the gate here and see the gold drop out. Let me turn the pressure up on this first. All right, let's see what we got here. Okay, now I'm running the plus 100 mesh. And you can see there's a lot of big chunks of pyrite and tungsten and all kinds of garnet and all that heavy stuff that I put in these impossible bags. And it's floating around with the gold here. So it's going to be a little more difficult for the machine to separate, I think. And then after this, we're going to run the tailings and I'll show you guys the results. Okay, so I'm panning out the tailings of the impossible dirt from the gold drop. And the first thing I notice is all of the black sands that actually floated up and out. So I don't know how the recovery is going to be for this, but that's a lot of black sands. But it did recover a good amount of gold. Now there's a 1/4 gram guarantee, and there's always going to be more than a 1/4 gram. So I don't know, is that a 1/4 gram? It did recover a lot, but did it get it all? All right, so I'm doing 1 small spoonful at a time. And this is how much I've recovered from the tailings just by panning it out so far. I mean, I didn't really expect it to do that much. It is very difficult pay dirt. There's Washington Beach sand in here. There's pyrite and tungsten and mica and all kind of stuff, garnets. Okay, on the left we have the recovery rate from the initial run for the impossible dirt. And on the left is what was missed. I didn't weigh it up, but just by eyeballing it, I think you would agree that we probably have maybe a 60% recovery rate, maybe 70% recovery, and 30% loss over here. This took me about 45 minutes to pan it out though, so I mean, it recovered this extremely quickly, like within a minute. And this took 45 minutes to get this out of the tailings. All right, there you have it. That is the gold drop by Sluice Goose. And honestly, if you're in a hurry to do pay dirt and you want to get quick recovery, I think this machine is actually not bad at all, especially for the bigger gold. It did 100% recovery on the beginner bag of pay dirt, which is all big pieces of gold. On the Gold Strike, it was still up 95, 98% recovery, which is still pretty good. Especially for under a minute. That was really fast. And then for the impossible pay dirt, I mean, that stuff, it took me an hour to pan out the tailings, and it was still around a 70% recovery rate, which within a minute, which was still really good. So even though the recovery rate on the impossible pay dirt wasn't the best the first time around, I bet if you ran it 2 or 3 times, I'm certain you would get a much better recovery rate, and it would be a lot faster than panning. So if you were as impressed as I was with this machine, with the super fast recovery rate and everything, you could go over to Kellyco and pick one up for yourself. There are links down below to go over there to Kellyco to get one if you're interested. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that. I put out a new video, at least 1 new video every week, sometimes 2 or 3. And that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks again, everybody, for watching my video. It's much appreciated. I did notice that 73% of my viewers aren't even subscribers. So if you would like to make sure you don't miss any of my future videos, make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.